When attempting to understand why Hakuho is so good, it is, as I'm sure you'll appreciate, impossible to underplay the role of the Mongolian hero 4.5 years his senior, Asashoryu. For the teenage Hakuho feeling stranded in a foreign land, sumo's first Mongolian Yokozuna represented everything he wanted to be. A man from his hometown, speaking his language, and building upon his family's proud wrestling history. As Hakuho, son of Mongolian wrestling legend Jijiro Munkbat, writes in his second autobiography, Asashoryu's father and older brother were both stars of Mongolian sumo. He himself had taken up that sport at 15 and scooped the junior prize at the annual Nadam festival. There were hopes he could go far on home soil. I had known him well since childhood, and distinctly remember how gutted my own father was upon learning that this future Mongolian sumo yokozuna was packing his suitcases for a life in Japan. Scouted by the then Wakamatsu, now Takasago Oyakata, in 1999, after 3 years at Meitoku High School's renowned sumo club, Asashoryu began filling Mongolia's sports pages in May 2001, when defeating 1 Yokozuna and 4 Ozeki at the rank of Komusubi to claim his first Outstanding Performance prize. As fate should have it, this was Hakuho's first tournament on the rankings chart. Asashoryu's prize-winning interviews the perfect motivation to put his own losing score behind him and find a way to win. By September 2004, he most definitely had done that, and was rewarded with his first competitive match against Asashoryu, by now an 8-time top division champion. As Hakuho recalls, the magnitude of the event was all a bit too much. Honestly speaking, he writes, when I mounted that dohyo and felt his presence in front of me, I just couldn't look at him directly. Such was his overwhelming aura. And I was just as overwhelmed once our bodies collided. He was so fast, and followed everything I did perfectly. Every move I made, he was right there, unperturbed. I found myself at a total loss, and meekly succumbed to his right inner arm throw, smashing shoulder first into the clay. Yes, it was disappointing, but also a reflection of the sheer gulf in ability. The analytical brain behind Hakuho's sumo success also detected another reason for defeat, one which went a long way to shaping who he now is. I was likely beaten mentally before the match had even begun, he writes. We have a Mongolian proverb, you can't turn back just because the mountain is high. If you keep going, you can scale it. Asashoryu was clearly that mountain in my path, and I realized that climbing it required an immense determination not to be outdone by him. Thus did I promise myself, one day I'm going to beat Asashoryu and make Yokozuna. Even if he knocks me flat, I'll come roaring back, over and over again. It is a mark of the man's sheer sumo genius that he was able to beat Asashoryu far earlier than anyone expected. In their very next match, which forms Hakuho's abiding memory of their 25 encounters. Says Hakuho, at the tachiai, Asashoryu hit me with some blistering thrusts out of the blue, knocking me far away from his belt. He got me to the rope in no time, but I was somehow able to stay in with a leftward movement and parry of his right thrust. And in that instant, I found Asashoryu's back, right before me, a simple push to which would send him stumbling out. I didn't miss. The match was over before I knew it. I'd won by push-out from behind, and the floor cushions were flying across the Fukuoka arena. At just 19 years and 8 months, I had become the second youngest wrestler post-war to collect a gold star, behind Takanohana. He continues, as Asashoryu returned to the stage for the post-match bow, I sent a gentle nod in his direction. It was a natural gesture spurred by gratitude, saying, "Thank you for letting me repay you today." Because Before that tournament, Asashoryu had kindly lent me his chest in training. There too he let me feel the full force of his strength. But I, determined not to be outdone, charged back with all my might. A grateful Asashoryu responded by hailing me as a good training partner. Asashoryu, the mountain I had to climb. It was by aiming to be like him and training for that purpose that I was able to collect the gold star. Cast your minds back to my translation of Hakuho's speech in February this year, and you may remember these lines. Hakuho elaborates on this philosophy in this chapter by writing, "A rikishi views beating someone he respects and aspires to be as an act of repayment. With that first gold star, I could repay both Yokozuna Asashoryu and Ozeki Kaiyo, who also lent me his chest on numerous occasions. I could also claim my first Outstanding Performance award as a result." Having turned pro 3 years younger than Asashoryu, and with far less sumo experience, Hakuho had taken longer to rise through the ranks and claim his first special prize. But now, his mind was convinced, if I've beaten him once, I can do it again. The greatest, most technically rich sumo rivalry of modern times was about to hit Japan's screens.